73 and the fact that he'd have been in short trousers with a squeaky voice. Well, I was born in 1973. My party was born in 1973. We're born in the age of European political and economic integration. I'm proud to be so. And I feel a terrible pain in my heart when I think about the people younger than me growing up with the expectation that free movement is their right, their natural right, and they're in danger of having that ripped away from them. Who here wants to swap their freedom of movement for a blue bloody passport?
No!
Who here wants to see their neighbours, their friends from other European countries being sent, apparently at random, deportation letters by a government that doesn't give a damn about their future or their contribution to our country and society? We should say with an absolute fever of anger that we are rejecting that kind of agenda. Freedom of movement across Europe, I think, is one of the most astonishing and amazing political achievements of the last century. A continent that went to war.
Yay!
A continent that went to war after war after war, built up that principle, recovered from a war and built up that principle that we are, all of us, free to decide where we want to live, where we want to work, where we want to study, where we want to start a family across the whole of Europe. I hope that one day the whole world can behave that way. I don't expect to live to see that in my lifetime, to be honest, but we've achieved that in Europe, and that's an astonishing achievement which we must fight for.
Yay!
Over the last few weeks and months, as I've watched Theresa May, Boris Johnson, Michael Gove, Jacob Rees-Mogg, I have sometimes, well, as you can see, I've torn my hair out. I've been wondering which ones of them are idiots, which ones are maniacs, and which ones are both. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. You know, some of these people have had very expensive educations. I refuse to believe that they do not understand the scale of the damage they are inflicting on this country or on the people who live here and our relationship with our nearest neighbours. I think they understand it well, but they place their own interests, their party politicking, their jostling for position when Theresa May is finally given the push. They place that before anybody else's interests, and we must reject them.
Yay!
Now, as we look at the mess they're making of this process, we look at the withdrawal bill, the dog's breakfast of a piece of legislation that it is. It's something the Greens will never support. It's something that many others across the political spectrum should never support. Any of the politicians who understand the scale of the damage that is being done must vote against this reckless power grab, a power grab by ministers from parliaments, from all parliaments, and also a power grab by the UK government from the Scottish Parliament down there. A power grab that is utterly unacceptable. And we have to ensure not only that ministers in both parliaments, their decisions are held accountable in both parliaments, but also that our rights, the rights that we've hard won, that we've fought for in Europe, are protected. The ability of people to hold governments accountable, to challenge governments when they make environmentally or socially damaging decisions. These rights absolutely have to be safeguarded, and unless that is done, we will certainly never give legislative consent for the EU withdrawal bill. And no other politician who's not convinced that those things are being done should do so. It'll come as no surprise that I want Scotland to be able to decide its own future. I want Scotland to be able to decide to have an open and welcoming immigration policy and an asylum system that treats people with dignity and humanity. It'll come as no surprise that I want Scotland to decide its own standards of workers' rights and social protections, again, rights that have been hard fought for and won in Europe. And ultimately, I think it's unconscionable that every other member state in the European Union will have a chance to vote on the deal if any deal is done. The UK government will have a chance to decide what deal it's going to do, and only the people of Scotland will be unable to decide for themselves if they want to stay on that reckless Brexit bus being driven by maniacs and idiots, or get off and strike a new arrangement by which we become a full member state of the European Union. It'll come as no surprise that that's my belief. I know that in this crowd there'll be those who agree with that and those who are not willing to support independence even under the current situation. I understand that. Not everybody who voted Remain is suddenly going to change their view and vote yes to independence if they voted no before. We cannot, though, allow that dividing line to prevent us from having resilience, strength and unity of purpose in saying no Brexit. Do you want a hard Brexit?
No!
Do you want a soft Brexit?
No!
Do you want any Brexit?
No!
No Brexit! No Brexit!
No Brexit! No Brexit! No Brexit! No Brexit! No Brexit!
Thank you. Thank you very much. And finally, if this evil, dangerous and damaging thing is ultimately done to us, if we are not given the choice to derail this reckless and damaging project, this movement will have to continue to grow stronger and be the movement that ultimately gets us back into Europe, where we belong, where our future is. Thank you very much, and keep that resilience, keep that strength, keep that energy. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick, for that fabulous finale. We've reached the end of today's speeches. I want to say thank you very much indeed to everybody who has stood on this stage and spoken today. We are indebted to you all, and it shows the breadth of anger, commitment and determination that we fight on here in Scotland and across the UK for our European futures. I'd like to say a few thank yous to everybody who has helped organise this event today. I'm going to pick out one or two names because they've really done the bulk of the work, and that is Bill Roger and most of his family as well, and I think they're here today with him. And Juuso Javiniemi from Young European Movement, who's been incredibly committed and tireless to get today's activity going. I'd also like to thank our piper, Bob Lawson. And a thank you to both the police and Edinburgh Council for allowing this event to happen safely and helping us organise the place we have here and clearing others away while we rally together.
Yay!
Most of all, I'd like to thank